Hey, Graham Brown here, Age of Tech Podcast. Now, if you are communicating your startup to an investor or to somebody who wants to join your team as a potential hire, or to customers, or if you come in the Age of Tech Podcast studio and talk about your story, is one thing to remember is that you are selling. We all live by selling. Selling doesn't necessarily mean picking up a phone and making 120 calls a day. I've done that. Believe me, that's a certain type of selling. We've seen the movie Boiler Room. Or it doesn't mean necessarily standing in a retail store and, asking somebody if they want to try on a blazer or a jacket or a dress. That's another type of selling. And selling doesn't necessarily mean blasting people with emails asking if they want Viagra. These are all different types of selling. We all live by selling. And I think one of the things we don't appreciate so much is one of the most powerful forms of selling, and we all engage in it, or we should all be engaging in it, is storytelling. And when you talk to somebody at a networking event, when you sit across from an investor, when you go to a pitch competition, when you're sitting in a bar having a beer, you are selling yourself. And it's not necessarily, the way we think we should be doing it, which is, oh no, here's my products and so on. The way you sell is through story. So how do you do that? Well, there's an important psychology here that we need to take on board first to understand. And there's a psychology of sales, and it's why people buy. People buy on emotion and justify with logic. Let me repeat that again. People buy on emotion and justify with logic. So when you ask somebody, hey, Graham, why did you buy this pen? Well, I bought this pen because it's a nice color, and it says here that it, will not be erased even with, hardware, and it's a chisel tip, and it was on discount. So, these are very much logical reasons, and you could ask this about, for example, why somebody would invest in a company, why somebody would join a company, or why somebody would buy an iPhone. Yet the real reasons why people actually buy are the emotions behind that. So, maybe somebody wanted to buy that pen because, all his mates had this pen and he didn't want to feel left out. Or he wanted to buy this pen because he could then show everybody and said, hey, everybody, look at my snowman pen. This is one of the most expensive pens on the market. I jest, but the point being is that it's an emotional factor. And when you ask them, they don't want to tell you that because they kind of look a bit stupid. They look a bit raw, bit sort of like maybe exposed, but it's why people buy. So how do you communicate that to people? When we talk about startups, we often talk about our products, our, technology, our industry, and so on. These are the logical factors. I really like the design. I like the technology inside this device and so on. Yet the reason why people buy and the reason why we connect with people comes down to emotion. And emotion is shaped by story. So if you tell the right story, I will connect with that emotionally. So if you're talking about your startup to an investor, yeah, they like all the numbers, but they've already made that decision based on who you are and what your story is. And then the logic becomes a post-rationalization of that decision. And when you ask somebody, that investor, why did you invest in this startup? They'll give you the logic, often the logic. Yet the reason why they really invested was a lot of emotion, a deep-seated emotion that went on behind the scenes. So you may think that the way to sell your business to an investor or to talent or to a customer is to focus on logic and features. The reality is you need to focus on the emotion and the story, because that is why people buy. Even if you don't ask them, they would say differently, but that's the real reason. So that is the power of storytelling. If you're not telling a story about your business, then all you are is focusing on that emotional, feature-led level of your company. And at the end of the day, that just comes down to price. And there's always going to be somebody who can produce your product or service cheaper or faster. Story sets you apart. Story creates value.